polar bears are dying. Sound familiar? I'm sure most of you may have heard something like this, or seen photos of this iconic carnivore clinging to melting icebergs. Fair enough. Human-caused climate change is definitely a thing. And we are seeing effects of warming temperatures on the polar bears that are not so good, especially in the south of the range. But how do we know that this is happening to polar bears all over the world? Do we have enough data to say this? Or are we making a big exaggeration based on pretty incomplete research? How are the polar bears really doing? This is the question me and a colleague from my lab have been trying to answer over the past few months. We've been pulling data from scientific articles and government reports, dozens of them, going all the way back from the 1980s to today. We've been focusing on three things. 1, the number of polar bears per region. 2, the survival of those bears. And 3, the number of cubs per female. For every region we studied, we looked at the number of years of data available and at the methods used to collect this data. So that included things like live capture, aerial surveys, modeling, and more. After we got that information, we classified every area we studied into good data, bad data, or unknown. Our results are worse than what we expected. Out of 19 populations of polar bears scattered over 5 countries, including Canada, only 2 had data we would classify as good quality, and both showed declines in number of bears and survival. Out of the remaining 17, we found that a lot of them had a couple years of data, sometimes decades apart, and that some had no data at all. Another situation was populations that did have data, but these were gathered by different research teams that used different methods, and so that made it impossible to compare or combine the results. So, how are the polar bears doing really? My research says we're not really sure. While climate change will definitely affect this species and not in a good way in the future, how most polar bears are doing right now is a lot more uncertain. My hopes is that my research encourages scientists and governments to communicate better so that they may focus on the populations with the least data in the future. I also hope it'll encourage them to be more consistent in their methods. Finally, I hope any scientist, including those who do not study polar bears, will hear this conclusion. With better communication and better consistency in data gathering methods, scientists can achieve so much more than just knowing how the polar bears are really doing. Thank you.